What's going on YouTube? Lapeef JR. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can also find us on Instagram at Lapeef Network. In this video, a woman made the point that statistically, black men are the most progressive. Excellent panel. This caught the attention of Cloud Jones, in which he made some interesting points. Respectfully, what do you think? Let's get into it.
In the black man and go get to others. I'm like, do you know what the fuck the other men are like? Black men are statistically, factually the most progressive men.
Yes.
Factually, and it's not fucking close.
Nope.
So if your problem is all these things that you put on the black man, like, oh, the black man is this, that's your problem with men. You need to address. White men are doing it much worse. Brown men are doing it much worse. Everybody else is doing it much worse. The problem here is not black men. It's about patriarchy and all these things. So it's crazy to take what white men created. White men created patriarchy. White men are the main ones. What have white people ever done other than enslave, pillage, rape, abuse, all of that? So how is it possible that you look at a fraction of what they do, what black men have been forced to have to like take and adapt to, and you see that in your community and you say, oh, I should go to the people who taught them that.
Oh, damn. We gotta let the ladies respond to this.
Let me just say, last week we was just talking about how patriarchy was damaging to the society, but now when she says it in a way that's beneficial to men, I'm just curious to see how many men agree. I'm very curious, especially based off the conversation, because if I heard anything different than what I heard last week, I promise y'all, I might just have to go ahead, cut this up and do my own little, you feel me on this, because men, they live for patriarchy. They love patriarchy. There's nothing, let them tell it, ain't nothing wrong with patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when she said it in a way that men can actually understand how it's harming them too, then it's like, oh, it's an issue with it. But when it comes down to men and women, we both have to be in a certain place in order for our relationship to thrive and grow at its best. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like anything that's hurting me is gonna hurt you. Anything that's gonna hurt you is gonna hurt me. So when we was explaining the damages of patriarchy on women, it was just like, nah, I don't want to hear that. But now that it's on men, I know y'all want to hear from the women, but I'm curious to hear from the men. How do they feel about this patriarch that was put on them by these white men who told them, you need to feel like this about these women, you need to treat them like this, and you should act like this, and you deserve this type of respect, and it should be done this way, and it should go about it this way. Like, I want to know, because in reality, that's where y'all learned it from. Y'all learned it from these white men. They
I don't know
set
no
the
white men.
foundation for what
Nah, I ain't
America
learning from
is
no white
today.
man.
Let's
No,
talk
no, let him
about it.
finish. Let him
Clock
finish.
it.
Oh, go ahead. Whoever.
Patriarchy exists. Oh, go ahead, Bruiser.
No, you. Well, I'm just gonna be quick and say, I'm not gonna just respond to the word or the concept as a whole. I like to unpack shit. Like patriarchy is a number of things that goes on in that type of civilization or society, that type of society. So you're gonna have to really unpack and point the finger at what do you think is bad for women or men, like what part of it, and then we can try to go there. So I'll let Cloud go.
All right, so there's a couple of things about patriarchy I want to address. Number one, I feel like everybody likes to frame patriarchy as though it's something that men got into a dark room and sat around a round table and decided to invent. Like, let's invent this thing to subjugate women. That's not what, not even white men did that. Patriarchy exists. Patriarchy exists because men are the only ones on this planet that have the power to enforce laws. That's why patriarchy exists. Simple. Number two, patriarchy exists because of women. Because if you listen to most women and the popular perspective of most women, what do they desire? They desire a man that is stronger, smarter, achieving more, and doing overall better than them in life. Most women say, I want a man that can lead. I want a man that can provide. I want a man that can protect. By asking for those things, what you're asking for is a patriarch, because that's what a patriarch does. Patriarchy is so built into women's desires, and they don't even realize it, that they think that that's just like normal. No, that's patriarchy. That's what it is. What you're asking for is a patriarch. You're not just asking for a man. You're specifically asking for a patriarch. When there are women out there that say they want a man to grab the bill and all of that, that's patriarchy. So at the end of the day, I just feel as though women like to complain about patriarchy, but never when it's beneficial, only when it requires something of them. When it requires them to submit to patriarchy, then patriarchy is the big bad wolf. When patriarchy is sending mostly male soldiers to die for war and sending mostly male police officers to deal with the violent crime in the streets, and when patriarchy is sending mostly men to go drive the trucks that go the tow trucks that go save people, for help people in accidents, and when most of the firefighters are men, and when all the plumbers are men, and all of the jobs that no one wants to do, garbage men and all that, man, patriarchy is great then. It's always great then. When a man is paying all the bills and taking care of the home and being a good provider, patriarchy is great then. The only time patriarchy is a problem is when that man who's paying for everything says, "Hey, have my dinner ready." That all of a sudden patriarchy is this big bad wolf that's subjugating women, and men got together to create it. That's just not the case. It's just genuinely not. Men are just the only ones with the power to enforce laws, and so naturally the responsibility of enforcing laws falls on us. And so that's what it is. It becomes a patriarchy. The men in the family tend to be the ones in the power because they also tend to be the ones with the responsibility. If women want patriarchy to change, it can immediately change. Like for example, you said you don't like patriarchy, you like taking a bill sometimes. That's great. That is how you dismantle patriarchy, right? Through feminism. Make things more equal. Don't expect guys to pay all the bills. Don't expect guys to pay for the day. Ask guys out on dates sometimes, instead of expecting them to approach you. If you're willing to do all that and actually live feminism to its true core, then cool. Ain't gonna be no more patriarchy. Now, as far as how patriarchy negatively affects me personally, I mean, with all things, there's positive and negative. There's benefits of patriarchy for me, but there's negatives, like what so many men talk about, having to cover the bill all the time, especially in a world where patriarchy for women is optional, but for us, it's often considered mandatory. Like, you need to be a patriarch, but I don't need to submit to your patriarchy. And I just think that that's not a reasonable or even a equitable or good faith position to take. And I'll land there.
I like that. I like that you said that. I like the where you came from. I just strongly believe a lot of things are taught to us, and it seems like men, they pride themselves on doing everything by themselves. But a lot of men, like you said, complain about it. The guy was like, "I hate going on dates because it's like I know I'm gonna spend something." So, I remember a guy was I can't remember if that was you or not, but they were saying how going on trips is stressful for them because it's way more responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And I think whenever men tend to get help, or if a woman wants to help a man or wants to go there, it's not the fact that I want to stop you from leading. I don't think it's that, but I definitely agree with what you said. How and I like how you put that because I was really curious to hear your answer. But how you said that men have downfalls to it as well as they benefit. Okay, I can understand that, and that makes sense too. So I appreciate your opinion on that.